Hello students, welcome to my live teaching learning session of Indian Economy PECE 145. Today we will do Unit 4. Its name is Resources and Constraints. What are the various resources which affects our economic growth and development? And what constraints? What are the obstacles? What are the hindrances which affects economic growth? So, today we will discuss about resources and constraints. There are so many types of resources available in each and every country. One is natural resource. Natural resources are those resources which are provided by nature or it is given by God. So it is called that these resources are called God gifted resources or natural resources. For example, air, water, petroleum, all these are known as natural resources. Second type of resources are man-made resources, which is made by man or human beings, which is not given by nature, which is not given by God, that is made by human beings or man. That's why this type of resources are known as man-made resources. The example of man-made resources are like machines, vehicles, and roads, etc. So these are resources. Resources are very helpful, very necessary for producing anything. If we want to produce goods and services, then we must need resources. Without resources, no one country can achieve higher rate of economic growth and economic development. As you know that economic growth is a long-term process in which national income and per capita income increases continuously. And economic development is also a long-term process in which national income, per capita income, and social welfare increases continuously for the long time period. Some economics says that both concepts are similar, but some made difference between economic growth and economic development. Each and every country want to achieve higher growth rate of economic development. That's why so many factors affects our economic development. And we must have to know about all these factors which affects economic development. In these two resources are main. One is natural resources and other is man-made resources. In those nations who have rich in natural resources, who have abundant natural resources, they can make faster rate of growth. And some countries have man-made resources or the resources which is made by human beings, they are rich in these type of resources. They also can make their economic growth and they can achieve higher growth rate with the help of man-made resources or human resources. So these resources are very necessary or very helpful for the development of the country. So now what is resources meaning? Anything which is present in our environment which can be used to satisfy our wants or needs provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable is called a resource. Generally, resources are mainly four like land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. These are known as four factors of production which are very necessary for the production of goods and services. But resources is a very broader concept. It's not a limited concept. So anything which is present in our environment, which can be used to satisfy human wants, human needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically which is economically feasible. It means we can efficiently utilize all the available resources in such a manner so that our maximum needs can be satisfied, and culturally acceptable is called a resource. So resources are basically of two categories, or resources can be classified into two categories. One is natural resource and other is human resource or man-made resources. Next is theory of constraint. Now this unit name is resources and constraints. So that in this unit you will study about what are the various types of resources and how they affect economic growth and economic development, and what are the constraints which affects our economic development. So theory of constraint tells us that some constraints or some hindrance or some obstacles which affects badly our economic growth and economic development. There are so many types of constraints. So generally constraints fall into three categories. One is internal resource constraint. In this category, we take example of like machines, raw material, worker. If we have a lack of machines or technical knowledge or technical awareness, if India has lack of technological development, then we can't achieve higher rate of economic growth. Same as if we don't have raw material. Without raw material, we can't produce any type of goods and services. So if we don't have raw material, then how can we produce? And if production can't be possible, then employment will not generate, investment will not increase, and income level will also not increase, and economic development can't be achieved. So these are hindrance or obstacles which affects our economic growth badly. If technology is not available, machines are backward, obsolete, or outdated. If raw material is not available according to the requirement of producing goods and services, if workers are not efficient, not talented, not literate, then how can production is possible? And without producing goods and services, we can't achieve higher economic growth. So these are called internal resource constraint, in which we include machines, raw material, and worker. Second type of constraint is market constraint. Market constraint tells us that in market, if demand is less than the production capacity or supply, if we have too much production, if we have so much output level but demand is not generated by the country people, then how our production will be sold in the market? In USA or Britain, in 1929 to 33 time period, there was a worldwide depression period. In that time period, market demand was less, but the supply of goods and services was higher. That's why they face depression. So these are known as market constraint, in which market demand is less than production capacity. If any country can produce more goods and services but demand is less, then producer will not get benefit, not get advantage from producing goods and services. And when they decrease the output level, then employment, income level will also fall, and economic growth will also hampered or will be less developed. Third constraint is policy constraint. Policy constraint, sometimes government make that type of policy which affects our economic growth. For example, if no overtime facility is given to employees. If employees are encouraged to provide overtime facility, they will encourage to produce more goods and services. But if there is no any type of motivation provided to employees by the employer, then production or output level will fall and economic growth will also decrease. And if there is a decrease in output level or a dictate rate of production, if we assume that if there is a dictate is means then if a producer dictating that this much quantity you have to produce, either you are using overtime or not, and they are not giving, if employer is not giving any type of much monetary or any other kind of benefit, but dictating the employers to produce goods and services, in this case output level will not increase, and the quality of the output will also decrease, and economic growth and economic development will hamper. So these are constraints. Constraints mainly fall into three categories. One is internal resource constraint, second is market constraint, and third is policy constraint. So this unit will tells you that what are the main resources which affects economic growth, and what are the constraints which affects also our economic growth and development. So these are called constraints. Next is resources are generally classified into three types or three categories. One is natural resources. Second is human made resources. And third is human resources. Human made resources are different from human resources. Natural resources are those resources which are provided by nature, and it is free gift of nature and given by nature or God. For example, air, water, soil, minerals, petroleum, these are known as natural resources. Natural resources are very necessary for achieving the higher growth rate of economic development. African continent has abundant natural resources. India has lack of natural resources. India is not rich of natural resources. India has some natural resources available, but not all. But African continent is very much abundant natural resources, and they have too much natural resources like petroleum, minerals, and soil, water, air. All these natural resources are available in African continent. But African continent is not well developed. It's also known as underdeveloped or developing continent. So natural resources are necessary for the development of the nation, but not only natural resources play important role in development. If we have natural resources but we don't have capital, we don't have technological advancement, then how can we use natural resources? African continent are suffering from these problems. They have lots of natural resources, but they have lack of capital, they have lack of technological advancement, they have lack of knowledge of using that type of resources which are available in their continent. That's why they are still developing, not well developed. And Japan has no natural resource, but Japan has too much human resources. Manpower or man-made resources are abundant in Japanese economy. That's why Japanese economy without natural resources, but they have lots of human man-made resources and human resources, they are developing very faster rate, and now that economy is called developed economy. So all these resources are necessary for the growth and development. Some countries are rich in natural resources, some countries are rich in human made resources, and some have human resources. All these resources affects economic growth and economic development. So resources are classified into three categories. One is natural resource, second is man-made resources, or third is human resources. Now, types of natural resources. For example, here sun is a natural resource, and it is a natural gift which is given by God. Forest, rocks, minerals, animals, air, oil, water, soil, all these types of resources are known as natural resources. Some countries are rich in oil like Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arab, Saudi Emirat, Kuwait, Libya, Venezuela, Algeria, Nigeria. They have too much natural resources or petroleum products. They have crude oil in their land area, and they have so many minerals in naturally which is gifted by nature, and fresh air, fertile soil, and rocks, forests. These all natural resources affects economic growth very uh, directly affects, because natural resources, if any country is rich in natural resources, they can fully utilize all the available resources in such a manner so that economic growth can be achieved at the higher rate. So types of natural resources are basically of three types. One is renewable resources, second is non-renewable resources, and third is flow resources. Renewable resources are those resources which can be renewed or which can be made, that type of resource that can be replaced fairly, quickly, such as forest and animals. These are known as renewable resources, which we can make or generate, or we can increase the quantity of the available natural resources. But some resources are known as non renewable resources. Non renewable resources are generally that type of resource which can't be replenished once it is used up, such as fossil fuel. In fossil fuel, we include like petroleum, minerals. These are given by nature or gifted by God. In some countries are very rich fossil fuel, in rich fossil fuel, and some countries have lack of fossil fuel. And to make this fossil fuel, thousands or billions of years used for making these types of fossil fuel. So these are called non-renewable resources which we can't generate, we can't increase the quantity of the available natural resource. And third type of resource is called flow resources, a resource that can be used and replenished at the same time, such as a river, current, or solar energy. It must be used when and where it occurs in nature. So, some we can classify natural resources into three categories. One is renewable resources, which can be renewed or which can be regenerate or which can be increase or decrease according to the availability or requirement of these resources. But non-renewable resources are known as fossil fuel, which can't be increased or which can't be replenished once it is used up. And third type of resource is flow resources, which can be used and replenished at the same time, such as river, current, or solar energy. Next is human resources. Human resources play very important role in growth and development. Without human beings, we can't use available natural resources also. If human resources are not available in our country, then natural resources or capital resources are useless. We can't use for the growth of the nation. So, human resources are very necessary for the growth and development. Human beings are also considered to be resources. The term human resources can also be defined as the skills, energies, talents, abilities, and knowledge that are used for the production of goods and services. Human resources, we include in human resources, one is education and other is, if we want to make human capital formation, then we must include education and health facilities. If in any country education is abundant or all country people are highly educated, highly literate, and medical facilities are also available in that country, it means that country will be called abundant human resources or rich in human resources. So human resources play very important role for the development of the country. Japanese economy developed with the help of human resources, not with the help of natural resources. But natural resources and human resources or man-made resources all are responsible, all affects economic growth and development. Third type of resources, human made resources. Human made resources are those resources which are made by human beings or human. Sometimes natural substances become resources only when their original form has been changed. Iron ore was not a resource until people learned to extract iron from it. People use natural resources to make buildings, bridges, roads, machinery, and vehicles, which are known as human made resources. Technology is also a human made resources and all affects economic growth and development. If any country rich in all these available resources like natural resource, human resource and man-made resources, then definitely that country can achieve higher growth rate of the economy and it will increase at a very faster rate. For example, USA economy has abundant natural resources, same as man-made resources and rich in human resources. That's why USA economy is well-developed economy and super powerful economy also. Next is infrastructure. Infrastructure also affects economic growth and development. Infrastructure play very important role in the elevation of the country. In infrastructure, we include roads, bridges, transportation facility, communication facility, educational facility, medical facility, law and order facility. All these goods and services which are necessary for the development of the country are included in infrastructure. If any economy has good infrastructure or lots of infrastructural facility is provided by the country to the country people, then definitely that country will achieve higher economic growth. Infrastructure definitely play very important role for the upliftment of the country. In this we include roads and inexpensive transport facility, increase the faster transportation of goods and services among economies which are very important for boosting an economy. It also helps in uplifting poverty by creating in-house jobs for citizens. Buildings and houses provide space for better functioning of already running operations smoothly. In addition, it attracts tourism, which elevates a country's position globally. So, infrastructure is also made by human beings. In infrastructure, we include all man made resources, which is provided by human beings. In this, we include roads, transportation, communication, shipping corporation, banking, insurance, educational facility, medical facilities, law and order. All these technological advancement, all these facilities which is made by human beings are known as infrastructure. And infrastructure play very important role in the upliftment of the country. Without a good infrastructure, we can't increase production level, we can't increase employment level, and we can't increase the level of income of the country. And without increasing the level of income of the country, we can't achieve economic growth and economic development. That's why infrastructure play very important role in the economy. Now there are two types of infrastructure available in each and every country. Infrastructure is classified into two categories. One is economic infrastructure and second is social infrastructure. In economic infrastructure, we include transports, communication, energy, banking, insurance, cooperatives, or irrigation facility. In social infrastructure, we include education and health. Education and health is known as social infrastructure facilities. And education and health also give concept of human capital formation. If we want to achieve higher human capital formation rate, then we should increase the level of educational facilities in our country and medical facilities. Government should spend more part of the GDP on education and on health facilities so that country people can make their standard of living higher and economy can grow. Social infrastructure is and economic infrastructure both are very necessary for the development of the nation. In economic infrastructure, we include transports and communication. If any country there is a lack of transportation facility or lack of communication facility, if there is a lack of energy, lack of banking and insurance facilities, cooperatives are lack in a very few numbers, or irrigation facility is not available, it means that economy or that area is suffering from bad economic infrastructure. And if we have bad economic infrastructure, then we can't grow at the very faster rate. Same as social infrastructure. If social infrastructure is not available in any region, any district, or in any country, like educational or medical facilities are not available, if country people are not educated, not literate, and they can't improve their standard of living, they can't achieve the success of the life. So without education, they can't contribute. Even they can't contribute in the development of the nation. And if there is a lack of medical facility, if health facility is not available, we know that in a sound body, sound mind exists. If body is not sound, then mind can't work smoothly or well in a well manner. So education and health make social infrastructure, which is also very necessary for the development of the country. So these are the two types of infrastructure in which we include, one is economic infrastructure and other is social infrastructure. Now we will explain what is economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. Now what is economic infrastructure? Economic infrastructure means those basic facilities and services which directly benefits the process of production and distribution of an economy. Economic infrastructure. We know that economic activities are those activities which is related with money, and those activities which generate money and which is related with only economic motives or money motive or wealth motive, that type of infrastructure is known as economic infrastructure. So economic infrastructure means those basic facilities and services which directly benefits the process of production and distribution of an economy. In this we include irrigation facility, which is very necessary for the production of agricultural crops. Without irrigation facility, we have to depend upon rainfall, and you know that rainfall or monsoon. India is still a gamble of monsoon. In India, agriculture is facing a problem of irrigational facility. Here is a lack of irrigational facility. We have to depend upon rainfall or monsoon. Nature may be favorable or may not be. Sometimes there is a flood in the economy, and sometimes it happens that there is a drought in the economy. If there is a flood or drought occurs in the economy, then crops will damage. So we should have to make proper irrigation facility, and it must be provided to the farmers so that agriculture crops can grow in a very good way, or the condition of the farmers can also improve. Second is power. Power is electricity. Electricity should also increase economic infrastructure, and it is also included in economic infrastructure. If we don't have a power or electricity facility, then we can't use more technologies, more machines or vehicles, because without electricity we can't make or we can't set up more industries, because each and every industry electricity is used. And but in India some regions are have very poor power facility or very poor in electricity. So if power is not available, then economic infrastructure will be called weak, and due to weak infrastructure we can't achieve higher growth rate. So irrigation, power, transportation facility is also very necessary for the development of the agriculture sector, industrial sector, and transportation is included in tertiary sector. And all these three sectors are interdependent on each other. Without developing one sector, we can't increase the rate of other sector. If agriculture sector is growing, then definitely industrial sector will also grow, and if industrial sector is growing, then definitely service sector will also grow, because all these primary, secondary, and tertiary sector are interdependent on each other, interconnected with each other. So all these sectors needed infrastructural facility, and we should provide, government should provide more infrastructural facility for the development of the country. So, irrigation, power, transport, communication are the examples of economic infrastructure, which is very necessary for the growth and development of the country. Next is social infrastructure. Now, what is social infrastructure? Social infrastructure is known as the educational or that type of infrastructure which directly supports human being and which can increase the capital formation of human beings. So the web of public services and institutions that are funded by any level of government, either it may be federal, provincial, or municipal, to support the development and health of a community, that is called social infrastructure. For example, schools, hospitals, public transit system, affordable housing, libraries, community centers, etc. All these are known as social infrastructure. Economic infrastructure as well as social infrastructure both play very important role for the development of the country. Without social infrastructure, we can't achieve man made resources or human made resources. If schools are not available, hospitals are not available, public transit system, there is a lack of these systems, housing or library facility is not available, then if we can say that we have weak social infrastructure facilities, and due to weak infrastructural facilities, country can't achieve higher growth rate of the nation. So, social infrastructure also play very important role, and it is very necessary for human capital formation, because human capital formation includes education and medical facility. On the one side, education provides us the knowledge how to use modern technologies, how to invent or discover new things, and medical facilities prevent us diseases, and medical facilities protect us and tells us how we can make our body sound. We can take balanced diet or nutritional diet to keep us fit and fine. If we will be fit, then we can give more contribution in the development of the nation and in GDP also. So, social infrastructure is very necessary for the development of the country. Next is the difference between economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. What is the basic difference in between of economic infrastructure and social infrastructure? Now you have done the definition of economic infrastructure and you have studied about social infrastructure. Now we can make the difference between economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. One is economic infrastructure, the nature. Economic infrastructure is a subset of infrastructure that facilitates production and distribution of goods and services. And social infrastructure, the nature of social infrastructure is a subset of infrastructure that facilitates the quality of life of a community. The quality of a life depends upon educational facility and health facility. If we have too much available of educational facility and health facility, then the quality of life of the whole community will definitely will increase. And if we have lots of transportation facility, communication facility, banking, insurance, shipping corporation, and irrigation, power, etc., then we can produce more goods and services, and we can distribute these produced goods and services to other regions or states or another countries very efficiently. So this type of infrastructure is known as economic infrastructure. Both infrastructure are necessary for the growth and development of the country. What are the examples of economic infrastructure? The examples of economic infrastructures are energy, transport, communication, etc. And the examples of social infrastructures are like education, health services, recreational services, etc. are the examples of social infrastructure. So this is the basic difference. One is economic infrastructure mainly facilitates the production and distribution of goods and services, and social infrastructure generally facilitates the quality of life of a community. So these are the basic uh, points of the difference of economic and social infrastructure. You should remember the examples of economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. In social infrastructure, there are two examples. One is education, other is health. And in economic infrastructure, we can include energy, transportation, communication, banking, insurance, irrigation, power, etc. And both are very necessary for the development of the country, and it also play very important role for the upliftment of the nation also. Now next is state of rural infrastructure in India. What type of infrastructure available in rural India? You know that in India there is a huge gap between rural people and urban people. In India, near about 70% people are still living in rural areas, and only 30% people are living in urban areas. In rural areas, people are mainly engaged in agricultural activities. More than half of the country people are still dependent on agriculture and its allied activities. And agriculture is the main source of employment. Agriculture is the main source of providing raw material to the industrial sector. So, in rural area, where 70% people are still living, but infrastructure facility is not available according to the urban area, rural area has lack of infrastructure, has lack of both type of infrastructure, economic as well as social. In rural infrastructure, the state of rural infrastructure in India, number one is dependent on biofuel. What type of infrastructure in rural India is available? In rural India or rural area of the Indian economy, the infrastructure is available like dependent on biofuel. What is the meaning of biofuel? Biofuel is such as cow dung, crop residues are still used in cooking by rural women. Around 90% of rural households use biofuels for cooking. It means there is no LPG cylinder gas is available for the rural people. Second is no access to clean drinking water. In rural area, people are still dependent on rivers, wells, canals, and uh, they have for water only hand pumps. They are using boring water for drinking, which is not safe, which is not clean. So clean tap water is available to only 24% rural household. But you know that in rural area, 70% people are living at present. But clean tap water is available to only 24% rural household. It means in rural areas, clean drinking water facility is not properly or fully available. Rest of use open source of water. And what are the open source of water? Like wells, canals, rivers, and boring water or water which is coming from hand pump or using by hand pump, which is known as groundwater, and groundwater is not fully safe for the human beings. Third is lack of proper sanitation facilities. In rural areas, there is a lack of sanitation facilities. Only 6% of rural areas had access to improved sanitation till 1996, but at present this percentage has increased, but not fully. We can't say that in each and every rural area there is a proper sanitation facilities available. Here is still lack of sanitation facility in rural area. Fourth is no electricity connection. As per 2001 census, only 56% of rural households had electricity connections and 43% use kerosene oil. It means they don't have proper electricity connection. Electricity or power is also included in economic infrastructure. So in rural area, the infrastructural facility, either it may be economic infrastructure or social infrastructure, both are in a very few numbers or both have in a available in a very less quantity. That's why in India, here the condition of rural sector is still very backward or underdeveloped. Urban area is growing at a faster rate, but rural area or rural India is still backward or underdeveloped due to weak infrastructure, either it may be economic infrastructure or social infrastructure. So, state of rural infrastructure in India, there is a still dependency on biofuel in rural areas, and there is no access to clean drinking water, and there is a lack of proper sanitational facilities, and there is no electricity connection available in rural areas. That's why the infrastructure of the rural sector is still very weak, and more than half of the country people are still living in rural areas. That's why in India, regional disparity or inequality of income and wealth always exist. Next is the impact of infrastructure on development. The research on the impact of infrastructure on growth has concluded that the role of infrastructure in growth is substantial, significant, and frequently greater than that of investment in other forms of capital project. Infrastructure services, for example, power, transportation, telecommunication, provisions of clean drinking water, sanitational facilities, are central to the activities of households and to economic production. Infrastructure represents the wheels of economic activity and is used in the production process of each and every sector. Transport, for example, is an input for every commodity because without using transportational facility, we can't move one commodity from one place to another place. While our very lives, our lives, let alone economic activity, would be impossible. It means no one economic activity can run or can perform very smoothly without using the facility of transportation. So, all these types of infrastructure, which is classified into two categories, one is economic and other is social. All type of infrastructure definitely impacts on economic development directly. If infrastructural facilities are available in a large quantity, then economy can achieve higher rate of growth and development. And if we have weak infrastructural facilities, for example, in India, there is still a weak infrastructure or there is a lack of infrastructural facilities in different regions or different states. Some states are rich in infrastructural facilities, but others are very poor in infrastructural facilities. That's why there is a regional disparity or inequality of income and wealth still exists. So, infrastructure definitely impacts on development, and we should improve infrastructure facility in our country for achieving the growth and development. Next is role of infrastructure in development. How can we say that infrastructure play very important role in development? So we can say that there are so many points which explain that infrastructure definitely play very important role in the development of the country. For example, number one is contribution to national income. Infrastructure give contribution to national income, and national income is the sum total of all the final goods and services which are produced by the normal resident of a country in an accounting year. And national income is a very great or important component for the growth of the nation. If our national income is increasing, then definitely per capita income will also increase, and due to increase in per capita income, our standard of living or quality of life will also increase, and economy will achieve higher rate of economic development. So infrastructure uh, contributes to national income. If there is a rich infrastructure or good infrastructure facilities available in our country, then national income definitely will increase, and it will also increase our economic development. Second is employment generation. Social infrastructure play very important role in employment generation. If educational facility and medical facilities are available in each and every country, then definitely employment level will increase or employment will generate. Because if people are educated, if people are mentally sound, then they can uh, increase more research and more development. They can give contribution in research and development, and they also increase the technological advancement for the nation, so that employment will also generate, and it will also help in the development of the country. Third is urbanization. What is urbanization? Urbanization means the person. Generally, we know that in India, some people are living in urban areas and others are living in rural areas. Near about 30% people are living in urban areas and 70% people are living in rural areas. So, how we can classify the urban area or rural area? The main uh, the main thing is the difference between the urban area and rural area is the people where the five more than 5,000 people are living. That area is called urban area, where more than 75% of the people are engaged in non-agricultural activities. That type of area is called urban area. And where the cantonment board, municipal corporation, and Nagar Nigam, etc., all these are available. That is called urbanized area or urban area. In India, there is a very uh, disparity between rural area and urban area, because only at present 30% people are living in urban area. Or generally, we know that urban area is that area where all types of facilities are available. For example, urban area is that area where education facility, transportation facility, communication facility, banking, insurance, and medical facilities, and power, electricity, energy, all types of facilities are available. That area is called urban area. And where there is a lack of these facilities, that area is called rural area, where people are most of the country people are engaged in agricultural activities, and industrial sector is a very in a less number. That area is called rural area. So infrastructure also play very important role in the development of the urbanization also. Infrastructure also attracts FDI. What is FDI? FDI is foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment means when foreign companies invest their money in our country, and invest in a bulk quantity of and they bring their own capital They bring their own technologies in our country for the production of goods and services, but uh, they will enter in our country and they will establish their business enterprises when most of the infrastructure facilities available in our country. If our in our country infrastructure is weak and infrastructure facility is not available, then we can't attract FDI, we can't promote these industries to invest their money in our country. So if we want to attract FDI, then we must have to increase infrastructure facilities in our country. And PPP initiative is public private partnership. Here, PP is not purchasing power parity. Here, PPP means public private partnership. If infrastructure facility is available, then public private partnership will also increase. Capital formation can increase human capital formation and other fixed capital assets like buildings, machines, equipments, inventories, all can increase due to increasing infrastructural facilities. So capital can be formed, capital can be increased, capital can be generated with the help of infrastructural facilities. Rural area can develop if infrastructure facility is available in rural areas also. And entrepreneurship will also encourage country people will encourage to invest their money in business enterprises when infrastructure facility is available in our country. So all these points tells us that infrastructure play very important role in development of the country. Without infrastructure we can't achieve uh, higher economic growth. We Our national income will be lower if infrastructure facility is not available. National income will be lower, employment can't be generated, urbanization will not be possible, FDI will not attract, PPP initiative will not be happen, capital formation will be less, rural development will be less, and entrepreneurship will not be motivated. So, infrastructure is very important to achieve all these uh, all these topics. In these, which are the very important component of the country, in this infrastructure play very important role. Next is the conclusion of this infrastructure facility is India needs to urgently bridge the infrastructure gaps that industry and people face every day. The slow pace of infrastructure development is quite evident from the list of 11th plan targets that are unmet. MSME is medium and small scale enterprises that provides employment to 60 million people in the country are the worst hit by the delay. Lack of adequate power supply and transportation facilities proves to be a deterrent to the growth of this sector. So, if we want to fill up the gap between the rural and urban area, and if we want to remove the disparity between different regions and the gap between haves or haves not, then we must have to increase the facility of infrastructure. Slow pace of infrastructure development is quite evident that the target of the 11th plan are unmet or not fully completed. Next is governance and institution. Governance and institution also play very important role. Government should work in a good governance way. That's why we can achieve our goals and all the set targets. If governance and institutes play very efficiently or effectively work and they work together without any conflicts, then we can achieve higher growth. Next is good governance. Good governance should be efficient, accountable, transparent, following the rules of law. Good governance should be inclusive, participatory, and consensus oriented or responsive. Then we can achieve higher growth. And next conclusion is investment requires of infrastructure sector huge. India's growth story to continue. 50% of the population is below 25 years. Huge domestic demand. Need to bridge the gap between infrastructure to sustain economic growth. Opportunities for international investors must be significant, and India can leverage on its vast human capital to successfully adopt the public private partnership model. Thank you.